we've had some people ask if you can do two Dante cards and run 64 channels of Dante to Waves at 96 kilohertz, and the answer is yes. It does take a mod, which I'll have to show, but right now it is running. Of course, in Dante controller, there's two separate, basically, bridges, and running at 96, each one's 32. I'm doing a loop back for testing right now. Here's the second one. And then over here, we have our 64 channels running, and we are indeed running at 96 kilohertz. We're doing a cancellation test on all the channels. Now the tricky thing to do this is each of these cards needs to connect into the back plane, but when you're running at 96 kilohertz, it's only using half the number of actual like I/O, and the problem is that these two slots share the inputs. So if you try to run both of them, normally you have a problem where like the signals of this one are going to interfere with the signals of this one because they share the same input bus. Well, when you're running only 32 channels, half the number of channels, it's only using the first 4 input wires. And so what we did was we actually lifted some 0 ohm resistors up here to disconnect the second 4. And then on this card, we did the same thing, but luckily we have a clever wiring scheme on the back plane. And this is actually from the HearBack Pro, where we put 2 analog cards in. We had to wire the first slot, the 8 input wires are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On the second slot, they're 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4. That way, when you plug an analog card into this slot, it's actually connecting to the second set of input wires. So because of that, you can actually just disconnect the upper 4 wires on both cards, and when you plug them both in, this one is feeding the first 4 lanes of inputs, which is 32 channels. This is feeding the second set of lanes of inputs, which is the upper 32 channels. So that's basically it. Also, the outputs that come to the cards, they follow the same scheme. So this is going to be getting the first 32 from the Waves. This is going to be getting the second 32 from the Waves. So there you go. It is a slight modification to do that. The only drawback to doing this is if you go down to a lower sampling rate, your 2 Dante cards are going to show 64 channels, but you don't really have that. Because of the physical disconnect there, you're only going to be able to use the first 32 channels on each card if you're running at a lower sampling rate. So that's really kind of the only drawback, is you'll see these extra set of channels that you can't actually use. But the first 32 will work just fine, just the way you're doing it at 96 kilohertz.